Hello everyone, my name is Joe and I'm from Turfcast, the Burnley FC fan channel. You can find us on the likes of YouTube, Twitter, Facebook and X, and we do regular podcasts as well. Thoughts on your season so far? Well, where do I start? Absolute pants. It's been dreadful, hasn't it? Like we came up to the Premier League, not with high hopes and expectations, but with fresh hope. Because the last time we were in the Premier League was just absolutely god-awful. And somehow this is getting just as bad. I don't think it's as bad yet. But I feel like at the same time, we had the same amount of points as what we did last time we came up in the Premier League with Vincent Kompany. The difference is this time is we don't seem to be getting battered every single week. We're just losing 1-0 and 3-2 and, a 2-0 here and there. We've been battered once against City. Everybody gets battered off City. But in the Vincent Kompany season, we were 4-0 down within the first half in some games, and games so often you were 2-0 down after 15 minutes, and it even happened on the first game of the season against Man City. Looking back, that absolutely set a tone for the season. But it's getting just as bad now. It really is. It's becoming a tough watch. We're quite obviously cut adrift. We're quite obviously getting relegated. It's us, Wolves, and another now. Obviously, at the minute, there's another claret and blue team in the relegation zone with us. I think they're the only team in the bottom three that can currently get out of it. But Leeds have hit form. Obviously, Forest had a bit of a new manager bounce, when both of our ex-managers, Sean Dyche, went in there. I think he has enough to keep them up. So it's going to be interesting, but only for that final spot because Burnley are done. So, yeah, the season's not been great so far. Thoughts on your transfer business? To be honest with you, in the summer, when we signed the players that we were signing, I remember thinking we're doing quite well here with some of the transfer business. We're not quite Sunderland levels, spending £4.5 billion on 3 or 4 amazing players. But I thought we were bringing in a nice mix of experience, tenacity, players that be hungry to succeed. We brought in Dubravka, who I think is a good goalkeeper. I feel like he's better than what we had the last time we were in the Premier League in James Trafford. At this moment in time, I think Trafford goes on to have a better career than Dubravka, if I'm going to be honest with you. But what Trafford lacked a lot last time we were in the Premier League was experience. He didn't make a lot of silly mistakes. And I think Trafford and the defence and Kompany's naivety were all really big factors into why we got relegated last time. But Dubravka came in with some experience. Kyle Walker came in with some experience. And again, that's another thing we missed last time. Experience, whether it be not just a goalkeeper, but some of the players, somebody just to grab the situation by the balls and drag the players through the match. So I actually thought we signed some good players. But yeah, apart from Martin Dubravka, really, a lot of them have struggled to shine. Kyle Walker started the season well, to be fair. But has faded slightly. Quinton Schiller-Hartman, definitely butchered that first name. He started the season well. He's massively faded to the point where he's even dropped last time out and widely criticised for his contribution against Fulham, even by Jamie Redknapp live on national television. Who else did we bring in? Jakob Bruun-Larsen. He played for us last time in the Premier League, was actually our top goal scorer from the wing. So I thought that was a good bit of business. He's looked miles off it. A lot of the signings as well have been loans with obligations from last season. So the likes of Jadon Anthony, the likes of Zian Fleming. A few people have rightly said that they won't be good enough for the Premier League. And I think that's been proven right. Zian's done well, to be fair. And Jadon actually started the season very well. But he's another one that's faded. So, yeah, recruitment has been a bit of an issue for a few years now for us, especially when we're in the Premier League. We seem to get to the Premier League and just sign a load of duds or people that don't seem to be bothered. So, yeah, at the time, I thought the transfer business was decent. But now it's looking like it's not so decent, if we're going to be brutally honest. Thoughts on your recent results? Well, I think the laugh or the smile says everything. We've lost 7 in a row, and then we drew away at Bournemouth. So in the last 8 games, we have picked up 1 solitary point. All right, it was a 90th minute equaliser down at Dean Court, Vitality Stadium, whatever you want to call it these days. And it's an all right place to get a point. A lot of people say Bournemouth are a good side, and they are. They're better than us. They've got players like Semenyo, but they're out form at the minute. They started the season well and have faded quite a lot, to the point where I'm thinking they might be the last team to get dragged into the relegation battle, especially if they sell Semenyo, which is looking like they might do in January. A few teams have been touted for him. He's a good player, to be fair. Scored against us, a good finish. So a point is not to be sniffed at. But look at what Leeds have done recently, beating Chelsea, drawn with Liverpool. As I've said, Forest. All right, they've lost the last couple, I think now. Forest, but they had a good couple of results when Dyche was in there. We have just been at Wolves levels nearly for the last. In fact, we have been at Wolves levels for the last 8 games. Let's make no bones about it. All right, Wolves. I've only picked up 2 points all season, and we're on 11 now. I think it is. Whoopee. So yeah. Thankfully, we had a couple of good results earlier in the season, beating Leeds, beating Sunderland, beating Wolves at Wolves. And yeah, a couple of draws thrown in there now as well. Obviously, drew at home to Forest, and now we're drawn away at Bournemouth. But yeah, the recent results have been, I'm going to say for want of a better phrase, but no, I think this sums it up perfectly when I say they've been shambolic. Thoughts on Scott Parker and fans' overall opinion? Not overly impressed with Scott, and I'm at the stage now where I do actually want him out. I feel like I am one of these fans that is quite patient with the managers. I've only ever called for one manager to be sacked before, and that was Brian Laws all the way back in 2010, 2011, whatever it was. Even Vincent Kompany, I managed to stick by him all the way through that turgid season. I feel like that does make me quite hypocritical, slightly. But I feel like what it is between the difference between the two is the fact that we did stick by a Kompany and we just ended up getting relegated, and then he screwed us over at the end of the season. Well, he went to Bayern Munich at the end of the season, and you understand the move, right? But it was some of the stuff that he was saying to us just even a couple of weeks before he left, like the stuff that he was saying you would never have thought he would have left. But anyway, that's a different debate. But I feel like now we need to learn from the mistakes we made with Vincent Kompany. We just cruised. I'm making phrases up now. Slept walk into relegation, and then we had a massive job to turn it around and bounce back. Thankfully, we did that under Scott Parker. And look, I'll be forever grateful for Scott Parker for last season. Sometimes it wasn't the most entertaining watch, as you can imagine. I think there was about 35 0-0s in there. I'm exaggerating slightly. But a lot of it was quite turgid. And I feel like it's becoming apparent now that Scott relies on the individual quality of players. And there was a lot of fans saying it last season when we were doing well, and I was just batting it off like, come on, we're top of the league or we're second in the league. Like, we've just got 100 points. Like, relax, like, give him a chance. But I feel like now we're in the Premier League, I see no clear attacking patterns of play from Scott. Like, even the draw we got at Bournemouth, the first shot, not shot on target, the first shot came in the 85th minute. The first shot on target came in the 90th minute when we scored. So yeah, it's not great, and I'm one of them. Look, I watched Burnley under Sean Dyche for 9 years, so I am fully aware how tedious and turgid football can be at times. But if you're getting results, like, I don't go to Turf Moor or to away games watching Burnley to be entertained. I watch Super Sunday, and you know the Saturday afternoon kickoff on TNT or Sky Sports. I watch that type of football to be entertained, but I personally see watching your own team as something different. You're there to see them win. You're there to see them do well. So if I'm watching turgid football and we're nicking 1-0 wins, or we're 7th in the Premier League like we were that year under Sean Dyche, or we're getting 100 points in the Championship, I'm not too bothered if it's a bit crap to watch, because I'm watching Burnley win football games. But now I'm watching turgid football and seeing Burnley get beat. So that's where I draw the line. In fact, even entertaining football and watching Burnley get beat under Vincent Kompany. The only reason why I stuck by Vincent Kompany that year wasn't because the football was entertaining or played in the right way, a term which I hate, by the way. There's no right way to play football. It's because I thought he'd be the best man to make us bounce back in the Championship. And again, you could argue that Scott Parker is that person, considering he's already been promoted 3 times out of the Championship. But I just feel now that we need to learn from our mistakes from the Vincent Kompany season and make a change while it is still ever so slightly possible, because I've already said I think we are down. But what are we, 7-8 points away? A couple of wins and you're right back in it. We have 2 home games coming up against yourselves and then Newcastle. So, you know, win them 2. You're not even out of the relegation zone. That's how bad we've been. But you're right back in the mix again. So I've felt like maybe we should have changed it already. Got the new manager bounce, got a couple of wins and put ourselves back in the conversation. So that's what I'd have done. I'd have already got rid of him. And I feel like the majority of fans have now changed their tune. You still get pockets of fans that use certain sites and certain demographics that don't want him out. I don't know what more it would take after 7 straight defeats to want a manager out. But the majority of fans, according to all the posts and polls and discussions and debates and live shows that we've done on Turfcast, would suggest that the majority of Burnley fans do want Scott Parker out now. Who's been your best and worst player? Well, best. I'm not sure anybody can really claim that title at the minute. Josh Cullen has been quite consistent and not in an awful way. Hartman started the season well, but has been god awful ever since. Steve's been getting found out. I'm not even going to put anyone forward for the best, if I'm going to be honest with you. And again, I think worst is harsh, so I might even just back out of this question altogether, if I'm going to be honest with you. I'll probably say 95% of the squad have been worse. Yeah, best I'll probably go Josh Cullen just because he's Mr. Consistent. You could probably argue Zian Fleming as well. In fact, I'll put Zian Fleming in there because he surprised me. I didn't think he'd be scoring goals in the Premier League, and he's not scored enough, obviously, to have us in the conversation of survival. But he's done well in a very poor side. Worst, I think it's harsh to pick a worst. But I'm going to go with Hannibal. I don't think he's been the worst in terms of quality because I actually do want him to start more. But the spitting incident at Leeds, don't condone it whatsoever. It's disgusting. And now we're missing him for 5 games. All right, he's at AFCON, so we kind of got away with it. So he only actually missed 2 games, and now he's at AFCON with Tunisia. So he's going to miss his next 3 banned games, should I say, while he's out at AFCON. So he would have missed them anyway. But when he's back, I will be starting him personally, maybe on the left-hand side or in sort of like the number 10 role, something like that. But I'm going to say Hannibal, basically to shit out of answering the question because I don't want to throw somebody under the bus. But I'm going to say Hannibal just because I'm very, 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 very disappointed with the way he behaved in the home game against Leeds, ultimately letting his team down and getting himself banned for 5 games. Thoughts on Everton this season, our transfer business, etc. Yeah, I'm actually quite surprised with that. Not surprised. I didn't think you'd be in the conversation for relegation anymore. But I thought there might be moments where, you're sort of like 16th, looking over your shoulder slightly, but never really being in any danger. Kind of like Fulham, where Fulham are at the minute, you know what I mean? Something like that. So people talk about them in the conversation, but they're never in any danger. They probably looked over the shoulders a couple of times, but Fulham are not going to go down. But Everton are probably even better than that. I think I've been surprised with Everton this season. I've always thought they're a good club, a great club, if you will. Always had quite a few links between Burnley and Everton. Obviously, Sean Dyche, Tarkowski, Michael Keane. Obviously, one of them's not there anymore. But the list goes on. Dwight McNeil, for example. But yeah, you're doing very well this season, and I feel like you're not a club that needs to be looking over your shoulder anymore, worried about relegation. I feel like you are a club that should be banging on the door of the European places. When you think of size of club, because the European places are top 9 now, pretty much, aren't they? When you include sort of like the Europa League and the Conference League and things like that. So Everton are a club, I was going to say, that should be sort of like similar to the Tottenham sort of ilk these days, but obviously Tottenham are even in that 16th or something they are now. They have an awful season. So yeah, I see Everton as a bigger club than Newcastle. I think the majority of football fans do, apart from a certain section in the Northeast. But look at what Newcastle have achieved in the last few seasons. Obviously, they've won a trophy. They've been in the Champions League 2 or 3 times now and got relatively far, I think, one year, the quarterfinals. Everton should be rubbing shoulders with clubs like that or even higher than clubs like that. So I feel like this is the first season where you can start looking at maybe pushing on and not looking over your shoulder. So I do think Everton will hopefully, for your sake, start pushing on now and maybe getting back to those days where you were qualifying for the UEFA Cup as it was back then, and even the Champions League. Obviously, I think you lost to Valencia in the qualifying rounds, was it? If memory serves me. But yeah, I think Everton can get back to that if you do things correctly. Now you've got this shiny new stadium. I think Everton can really kick on from here. Likely lineup: Martin Dubravka in goal. I'd say probably Lucas Perez at left back because Hartman has been shocking for some time now. Maxime Esteve is currently injured, which is good for you guys because I do think, even though he has been found out recently in the Premier League, he is probably still our better defender. And Axel Tuanzebe is away at AFCON with the Democratic Republic of Congo, I think, which is bad news for you guys because he's god awful. He's just said after refusing to throw players under the bus for the worst player. So I'm expecting it to be Worrell and Ekdal at centre back. We might even go with a back 5 with Josh Loren in there as well. I would hope we don't. because it's just so turgid to watch when we go back five. It's literally just backs against the wall and hope we nick a counter attack, but we don't have any counter attacking players. But knowing Scott Parker, the fact that we picked up a point against Bournemouth where we played the back five, he'll probably do it again. So let's go with the back five. So it'll be Worrell, Loren, and Ekdal at the back, with Kyle Walker on the right hand side. I'm not sure who he's going to play sort of like in the middle. It will definitely be Josh Cullen because he's a club captain, and I would guess that Leslie Ugochukwu, Big Les as we call him, because we can't pronounce names that aren't Smith or Jones over in Burnley. But Florentino Luis has come into the side, and again, he's another one that I thought was a fantastic player when we signed him, and he started the season relatively well, pretty well actually, to be fair. But he's another one that's just faded up to the point where he's actually dropped against Bournemouth. And then your forward line will probably, this is not what I'd choose if it was me, but probably Jadon Anthony on the left, Jakob Brun-Larsen on the right, and Zian Fleming up front. I would personally be starting Marcus Edwards on, I think he plays on the right, just to give us a bit more attacking. And I'd actually move Jakob Brun-Larsen over to the left. I'd drop Jadon Anthony because he's been off the boil recently. And yeah, Lau Foster's over at AFCON as well, as is Hannibal, but he won't have played. So we do have a couple of players missing for AFCON, as I'm aware that you do as well, some of your better players as well. So yeah, some of them are... Tuanzebe is good news for us that he's not here. Lau Foster scored a great goal the other day. I'm not sure who he played against at AFCON. But yeah, he's not been doing it for Burnley. So I don't think any of them are going to be a bit of a miss, if I'm honest with you. Key player for Burnley to watch out for? Nobody. Literally nobody. Dubravka, because you'll probably force him into a lot of saves. If you're looking for somebody that might put the ball in the back of the net and worry you slightly, to be fair, we've not been awful going forward, to be fair. Like, it's defensively where our issues are. I mean, I say that. We've scored goals in more games than we haven't this season, but we're not scoring enough to obviously be in the conversation. Zian Fleming, at a guess, if he plays, which he did against Bournemouth. So, yeah, I'd say Zian Fleming, but yeah, we don't really have much attacking prowess. I would say Marcus Edwards, because even though I don't think Parker will start him, I do think it brings him off the bench and sort of like tries to push us forward up the pitch late on if it's still 0-0, but knowing how we'll look by then, we'll be 2-0 down, so might not even bring him on. Where is Burnley's weakness that Everton can target? Everywhere. No, centre back hasn't been great. Left back hasn't been great as well. I probably would say left back with Lucas Perez coming in. It's not great in terms of technical ability. He's not great defensively. And he did start the season as sort of like second choice behind Hartman. But Hartman has, like I said, already gone off the boil completely. And I fully suspect Perez to start again. Who knows? Parker might bring Hartman back in and he might be playing well again. If Hartman's playing well, he can be a bit of a handful for you guys because he gets forward really well. I think he got 3 assists already. I think I was in the first 5 games of the season. I think he was top of the assist charts for like 3 or 4 weeks. But then against Fulham, he was awful. He wasn't the only one. He was scapegoat slightly, if I'm being honest with you. I think I was part of that problem. I saw the video that Redknapp did and was absolutely disgusted with Hartman's sort of like effort levels in that video. Just search Turfcast Podcast on Twitter and you'll find it. But yeah, weakness, I'd say probably left back and just the whole defence really. Centre backs as well, although we did look good defensively against Bournemouth. If it wasn't for a slip from Josh Loren, we would have kept a clean sheet against players like Semenyo. But Josh Loren slipped and Semenyo scored a decent goal, to be fair, from the edge of the box. So yeah, if you put crosses into the box, we're not normally great defensively in terms of heading them away. But with Joe Worrell, and Ekdal coming into the side against Bournemouth, we did look really good in the air. Ekdal is quite good in the air. Even if he does have a lack of pace, he is very good in the air. And Worrell as well. And Worrell's a good leader as well. So it'll be interesting to see how this new makeshift defence gets on. Because for me, if they do well again like they did against Bournemouth, then it could be interesting to see how Maxime Esteve and Axel Tuanzebe get back into the side when they are both back. Everton player you think Burnley need to watch out for? Well, he's at AFCON, thankfully. But no, Dewsbury Hall and Jack Grealish are obviously the obvious ones that are here. I'm not sure what the situation is with Dewsbury Hall at the minute. I think the last time I saw, he might not be making the game. But I think Moyes has been quite tight-lipped on that one, hasn't he? So I'll be interested. But yeah, obviously, I would be very worried about Ndai. But thankfully, he's away at AFCON, I believe. Apologies if that's wrong. I'll be fuming him if I see him on the team sheet, because I am adamant he's away at AFCON. So yeah, I think with the players that are here, Dewsbury Hall, I think he's a great player and a great purchase from you guys, or loan, whatever it is. I'm not sure what the deal is with that, but Dewsbury Hall's a good player. So if I had to pick anybody, I'd pick him. But fingers crossed, and I very rarely say this, but fingers crossed, he is still injured for the game, and I hope he's perfectly okay for the game after that. So it's not a long-term injury. Score predictions: 1-1. And that's heart over head. Probably 1-0 to Everton if I were going to let my head rule. But you guys are a little bit weaker with the AFCON stuff, and hopefully Dewsbury Hall being injured. So we might be able to capitalise on that. But yeah, I don't hold much hope for anything other than that's the best result we're going to get out of this game. And if we do get a miraculous 2-0 win, then who knows? You know, we are right back in the mix. We're buoyed. We're going into the Newcastle game next, who are very poor away from home, looking for hopefully another win. So yeah, I'll be surprised if we win the game. So I'm going to go Burnley 1, Everton 1. Final question: what is the best part of Christmas dinner? Well, as you can see from the video, I've tried to make it as festive as possible. I do have a Christmas tree up in here. I do have Christmas decorations up in here, but it's over there. You can't see anything behind me. It just looks like a normal sort of like non-Christmassy sort of like day behind me. So I put my Christmas jumper on and I put some Christmas background up behind me. You might not be able to see that, actually. I'm not sure if the lad who edits this will edit that out, but please leave it in. It's very festive. Best part of a Christmas dinner? It's got to be the turkey for me. I know it's a boring answer because it's turkey, but the turkey is cooked right. It is superb. And a lot of people will argue that Christmas dinners, who were I speaking to recently said Christmas dinner's boring because it's just like a Sunday roast, which is all. And I was like, yeah, well, Sunday roast is class. I'm like, no, Sunday roast is boring. I'm like, what are you on about? But some people make the argument that Christmas dinner is just like normal food. It's just like a Sunday roast. Was Sunday roast is class, but obviously the main difference is the turkey. And if the turkey is done right and it's moist, apologies if you're one of them weirdos that hates the word moist, but I'm going to say it again. If the turkey is moist, it can be superb. If turkey's done right, it's superb. So I'm going to go with turkey for me. But if you're going to go somewhere that leaves it out under one of them heated lamps and it goes dry and it's not great or it's overcooked, then turkey can be a bit dry. It can be a bit rubbery. It can be a bit of a crap bit of meat, really, can't it? So if you go somewhere proper, or your mum's cooking it for you, or your wife, and they know what they're doing, then the turkey's superb. Really, really is. But yeah, thanks everybody for watching. Thanks everybody for listening. Hopefully you have a great Christmas, and I hope we don't ruin it too much on the 27th when we inevitably batter you 3-0. Obviously, that's not going to happen. But I hope you enjoy your Christmas, but not too much because Burnley will ruin it. But yeah, as I said, you can find me at Turfcast Podcast. Please search that on all the usual streaming platforms, YouTube, Spotify, all the rest, and on all the social medias as well.